Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this 21st episode of LinkedIn Live audio event series, where we are conversing with thought leaders, founders, and CEOs about their journey, how they have unlocked their own true potential, and now they are unlocking the true potential of folks around them. Evening, afternoon, and morning, based on where you're from, this is your host, Prashant. And before I get any further, I would like to emphasize the purpose of this event. We aim to unlock the true potential of folks who are in constrained environments. Maybe not able to get enough time to connect to their role models, maybe unable to break through the extremely preoccupied, mundane life, or maybe the internet buzzwords are adding friction to harness positive changes in their life. No matter what the reason may be, there is value in staying towards the end of this event. Today's topic and discussion with Melissa Grabiner is on job hunting framework. Open to work. What's next? A little bit about Melissa. Most of you already know her. A distinguished senior business leader who brings a wealth of experience in HR and talent management and talent acquisition. Her career is marked by numerous achievements and awards in the field of human resources, including the Global HR Walk the Talk Award for Excellence in Leadership and the Technical Operations, a Transformational Award for Excellence in Business Strategy. She has been a consistent nominee and winner of various HR awards for her excellence in strategy execution, talent acquisition, and employee advocacy. With over 2 decades of experience, Melissa has a unique expertise in building strategic client acquisition functions from scratch. She notably created and developed a comprehensive talent acquisition strategy for one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies, effectively supporting 130 locations and over 5,500 employees nationwide. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome Melissa Grabner. How are you?
Prashant, thank you for that very kind introduction. I'm very happy to be here, and I want to thank everyone who has taken the time to join our call.
Absolutely, Melissa. And you know what? Thank you so much for being here. It's a weekend, it's a Friday, and we have audience already here. I see already a few hands raised up here. So, Melissa, and you know what? Next week is Thanksgiving, and I'm sure whatever we're going to discuss here is going to be helping folks and giving them some time off next week to prepare and work on these job hunting framework. So, guys, before we get started, why don't you show some love, give me some reaction here that you are out there, you exist, and we're going to get started with the particular discussion here. All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for you. So, Melissa, please enlighten us and, job hunting framework, open to work. What's next? What's going on?
Yes. Yeah, so again, I really appreciate everyone being here, being very active on LinkedIn. I receive hundreds of direct messages a day from job seekers all over the world asking me for my advice. And what I would say is that I've been in talent acquisition long enough to know that every couple years the pendulum changes. And right now, I think we're in what I would call more of an employer-driven market, but I really do believe in hope that the pendulum will change the other way, and in early 2024 we'll be in a more employee-driven market. So what I would say to job seekers that are on this call, I've been there before myself. I was at a company for 18 years and lost my position. And when that happened, even though I have been a talent acquisition professional, I was scared, I was lost. I hadn't put a resume together in almost 20 years. So I know how it feels to be searching for a job. I know the market is very challenging right now. But what I always tell job seekers that reach out to me is that, if you keep networking and keep at it, you haven't come this far to only come this far. Keep at it, and you only need that one yes. It will happen. Just don't give up. I really do, again, believe that's when a lot of companies have new budgets, they evaluate their headcount. And in my experience, I've always seen an uptick in hiring in Q1. So I would say keep at it. Don't despair. Don't give up. You only need one yes. And I'm rooting for you. And I really hope that this call will provide you with some tips and tools to really even accelerate your job search.
Well, thank you, Melissa. I think definitely. And thank you for being so honest here, sharing your own personal experience. And I totally agree with you. We just need one yes.
Yes.
And there are things which happen the moment someone gets to know that they are no more associated with that company and they need to depart. And it's not easy emotionally as well, because so first is that emotional thing, and then the sense of responsibility kicks in, and then we need to make sure that we are timely working on our resumes and also knocking all the doors of our network that, hey guys, and those are the things which folks need to do immediately. And I just also, have this thing, some of the folks ask me that, hey, Prashant, I lost my job. Now, what do I do? I'm hesitant to click that button on LinkedIn which says open to work. What happens? Do you have any comments or thoughts around it? Like, some folks are open to work and they need to, feed their family and everything, but some are hesitant to notify, let the world know that they're open to work.
It's a really interesting timing that you're asking me this question, because about a week ago, there was a hot debate going around on LinkedIn. I will tell you, from a recruiting standpoint, I think if I was looking for a job, I would wear. LinkedIn added this great feature for a reason. And as a recruiter myself, why would I not seek out people who are looking for a job when I'm trying to fill a job? There is nothing wrong with looking for work. There is no shame in that. All of us at one time or another have been in this situation before. And when I do searches on LinkedIn using my LinkedIn recruiter license, one of the criteria that we can use as recruiters is looking for people that we know are open to work. And when I'm doing my searches, for every search, I always click that box where the people that have that banner that says open to work will appear in my search criteria. And, there are some recruiters who would say it perhaps makes a job candidate look desperate. But I will tell you, from what I've seen on LinkedIn with this topic, even in the last week or so, 95% of the comments that I have read from talent acquisition professionals agree with me on this topic. I feel very, very strongly that it does not make a job seeker look desperate. There is nothing desperate about telling the world that you're looking for a new job. And I would say use that green banner loud and proud. And again, if it was me, 100%, I would use the banner on my profile.
Wow, thank you so much for those words here, because at times, with folks who are in confusion, it's a direction. It's a good thing, guys. So thank you. Thank you. You all have raised hands, and I appreciate that. We're going to take some questions in like maybe 15 minutes or so. So meantime, you have the opportunity to post your question in the comment section, which helps us to take it or if we want to cover it in our discussion, we can do that as well. So that's there. So, Melissa, I have a question here. So what do I do the day I get to know that I am open to work? Or some people who might be sensing that, maybe not right now, but maybe in a month they might be asked to leave. So help us with the framework. Um, you know,
Definitely. So what I would say is that we always have to prepare for steps A, B, and C, even if we're gainfully employed and have confidence in our jobs. As we have seen, a lot of these companies at a moment's notice will lay off staff and the staff doesn't see it coming. And I would say to everyone on this call, and I do this myself, always have your LinkedIn profile optimized. If you have additional accomplishments that you've gained, add it to your LinkedIn profile, add it to your resume. But definitely have a resume ready at all times. Always have your LinkedIn profile optimized as well, because you never know when either you're going to get that call from the recruiter with your, perhaps dream job. Even again, for people that are working, I was at a company for 18 years and it completely threw me for a loop when I lost my job. And as a matter of fact, I lost a job even before I was at that company as well. And I also was caught by surprise. So I think, one thing I want to mention to people too is have some compassion for yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Show yourself compassion. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical health. I think what helped me was when I knew that my physical health was being taken care of and my emotional health was in check, it allowed me to go into that job search with a lot more pep in my step. So always take care of yourself, take care of your family. I think that's the first and foremost piece of advice I would give. But also definitely you always want to have your resume and LinkedIn profile as up to date as possible. Have that LinkedIn optimization, you know, make sure it's professional, up to date. We'll talk a little bit later about LinkedIn optimization, but I would say that the vast majority of recruiters are looking on LinkedIn for candidates. So I would say to people that are looking for a job is be active on the platform. And when I say be active, I mean, post, you know, there's nothing wrong with posting. You know, I post at least once a day. It has allowed me to garner a pretty big following. So not only do I post, but I engage with other people's comments. So if you see a post that resonates with you, comment on it. And I have met a lot of incredible people through this platform simply by engaging with their content. And the more you engage, the more your name is going to be out there. And those are the people that I think will have a little bit easier of a time when they're more present on LinkedIn, because it really is the #1 tool to find a new position.
Absolutely. So let me ask some reaction here from folks who all are hesitant to post on LinkedIn. You can just give me a reaction of, say, like a thumbs up that you are hesitant to post on LinkedIn. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, so I will tell you a small thing here. This whole thing is that somebody told me and guided me that there are 4 things which holds us to do anything. Is that fear? Either we have a fear that, hey, I'm going to post something and nobody's going to like it. So let me bust that thing, is that likes are not a measure of your reach. Your impressions is the measure of your reach. And the more you post, it will increase. The other thing is limiting belief. So there may be some belief in you, which is just limiting you. You know, maybe my spelling mistakes are going to be there. Maybe the grammar is not there. Right now, we have tools to check all that. There are online free tools. You can run it through them and then post it. The third thing is also some kind of assumptions we may have that, hey, nothing happens if I post out there. Nothing happens if I put a message to something. Nothing, you know, that's a assumption. It may be right for 80%, but as Melissa said, that you just need one yes, and that's the way to go. The last thing is also we may have some biases about something or other thing. That role, I may not like it, or that person, I'm not going to talk to them. Break those things, guys. This is the time we need to be very assertive and very determined in our pursuit to the opportunity. So I just, thought of adding that, Melissa.
Yeah, and Prashant, those are great points. And I also want to add this too, is that I receive numerous direct messages from people every day all over the world. Very nice, well-crafted messages of job seekers that are coming to me with a copy of their resume with an outline of what kind of role they're looking for. And even if it's a role that I'm currently not hiring for at the time, that doesn't mean that there are people in my network that aren't hiring for that role. I mean, as a recruiter myself, I have a very large network of people. And if I receive a resume from someone that I know I can't help, but I think there's someone in my network that can, I will gladly and happily and continue to forward those resumes on, because really my goal, honestly, I just want to see people get back to work. People that are looking for jobs, you know, people need jobs and companies need people. And that's something that will always be there, right? So if you see a posting on LinkedIn, apply to the posting, but then I would also say, take that extra step, reach out to the recruiter at that company. And you can certainly find that information by doing a simple search in LinkedIn. You simply type in the company name, and then the actual employees of the company will pop up with their job titles. Take that extra step, reach out to those recruiters or those heads of talent acquisition, or even someone in HR. I have hired people that have proactively reached out to me because they saw a posting of mine that they were interested in. And sometimes that extra step is the difference between getting an interview or not getting an interview. So be active on LinkedIn, engage with as many people as you can, and watch the magic happen. You know, when I started my LinkedIn journey, I didn't have a whole lot of followers, but the reason why I've gained so many followers is because I not only post every day, but I engage with other people's content. And I think if you do those two things, you're going to watch your LinkedIn numbers start to soar.
Absolutely. And also, guys, togetherness is required. So togetherness, this is a tough time for folks who have lost their jobs, or, they're struggling to get jobs. So togetherness is the key here. So togetherness is the key. How you're going to do it, and don't feel shy or hesitant. What you like, if I like this post, or if I post it, somebody's going to watch it. These are the common things what I discovered after speaking to some folks. As I'm saying, this is my 21st episode here, so my learning, some people are hesitant. Take that hesitant away. That hesitant is holding you back, and we need to move north by all means. So that's what I have to say. So yeah, Melissa.
Yeah, and then I would say the next thing a job seeker should do from my perspective is put together a job search strategy. And this doesn't have to be anything that comprehensive, but use a couple different avenues to try to find a job. So you can explore job boards, different company websites, perhaps industry-specific platforms. And again, networking is absolutely critical to finding a new role. So it's not only attending perhaps network events online and offline, but as I said, actively engage in the platform of LinkedIn. Networking that way is such a powerful thing. And then when we continue on our journey of, when I look at like the job seeker, the application process is what I would talk about next, is that it's easy if you're applying to multiple jobs to kind of get lost in all of the activity. So when I was looking for a new job, what I did was I kept track of all my applications and all of the responses or lack of responses that I did or did not receive. I actually created an Excel spreadsheet. It was a very simple spreadsheet outlining the date I applied to a specific company, who the company was, and then I kept track of it that way. And then I would also say with the application is to just carefully read and follow the instructions for each job, and then submit any required documents. A lot of these applications require you to upload a resume and or a cover letter. So if you follow the instructions carefully, there's a much better chance that your information will successfully be submitted. And then once you start getting actual interviews, the next step is preparing for those interviews. So I would say research those companies that you are going to be speaking with. There's a ton of information out there online, even on LinkedIn, or read about it through a company's website, look at their culture, any sort of recent news events, and then work with other people in preparing for interviews. So think through common interview questions. And to me, an interview is your chance to shine. It's your chance to pat yourself on the back and talk about all of your accomplishments and give yourself that pedestal that you deserve to be on, because you want to make sure that you stand out in those interviews as compared to perhaps some of the other candidates that might be interviewing. So try to prepare for those interviews and really have a compelling story. So if a recruiter says to you, "Tell me about yourself," which is a very common interview question, I would practice that beforehand. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, maybe a 30-second, what I call an elevator pitch, that talks about your experience and why you feel you would be a good fit for the position. So know your resume inside and out. If you are asked a question about your resume, be prepared to answer that. With the resume is you just have to be prepared to discuss the items on your resume. Definitely highlight any key achievements or experiences that are relevant to the job. And the other thing I would say about resumes, which is incredibly important, is that it's good to quantify your achievements. So in other words, I increased sales by X%, or I saved the budget by X amount of dollars. So actually, if you're in the type of job where you have any sort of quantifiable numbers, definitely put that on a resume, because those resumes always stand out to me. And then, of course, you want to prepare for the the interview. We don't always know, of course, the questions that we're going to get asked, but if you go in there with a very deep and solid and confident understanding of your background, and you're able to talk through your background, then you're going to win half the battle right there. And, there are hundreds of different interview questions that a company can ask you, but I think that the one that is important to be the most prepared for is simply to give, again, a 30 to 60 second elevator pitch on who you are. I would also make sure that you thoroughly go through the job description line by line, because the recruiter or the hiring manager might ask you a question as it pertains to a point on the job description, to see if you have any experience, either current or past, that aligns to that particular duty or responsibility. And then, of course, this goes without saying, and I'm sure all of you do this, but certainly make sure to dress professionally. Even if a company is, very casually dressed, or they allow jeans, I would always go into an interview, even if it's a Zoom interview, make sure that, at least the upper part of your body is dressed in a very professional attire. If the interview is actually in person, bring multiple copies of your resume, bring a notepad, bring a pen for taking notes, and just make sure to confirm the interview details prior to the interview. Like I said, you're not always going to know the interview format, but just be prepared to talk about your background. Stay confident, stay calm, take deep breaths throughout if that, will help you. But if you project that confidence in your abilities and qualifications, that's really going to be able to shine through. And then the last thing I would say about interview etiquette is I am a big fan of thank you notes. I think there might be some recruiters that might disagree with me, but when I interview candidates and they send me a thank you note, I am always appreciative of that, and those candidates will always stick out in my mind over the candidates that don't send me a thank you note. I would suggest sending a personalized thank you note within 24 hours of the interview, and you simply need to express gratitude for the opportunity and reiterate your interest.
Well, so many things you spoke about. Just wanted to echo that so that we reiterate this thing. Guys, this all things you all know, because this is not the first job. The only thing is that right after we lose a job, the time is very critical. And as we were working maybe 40 hours a week, that 40 hours at least has to go in the preparation part. Reading the job description, I tell this to people, and I tell them to read it aloud so that you yourself hear what's required in that. It may sound funny, but that's what works. Read it, and then if you have to do any changes in your resume or sequence the achievements in a way which is more relevant to that particular job description, do that. Take that extra 1 minute to do that. Sometimes I've seen that resumes come in and it just the same resume. We are hitting easy apply on LinkedIn or Indeed, wherever we are applying. We're just doing it like a monotonous cycle. Take a pause. Remember, 40 hours in a week we were working, and now if we're not, then we have to at least give 30 minutes every day and put a discipline around it. And dress well. What are those good dresses, professional dresses doing in your closet? Get it out, dress well, make sure you are doing good. So just wanted to echo and lighten the whole thing. So stay together as a community, help someone in this. There are a lot of people who have joined this event here. Here also you have opportunity to network. Here also you can find a buddy to do some mock interviews. Who is stopping you? It's yourself, is what I would say. And leverage time and that's the currency. So give me some reactions here. How are you? Are you engaged? What's going on?
Yeah, Prashant, there's one more thing I want to mention about the whole the interviewing piece is I think it's perfectly okay to follow up with the recruiter or the hiring manager if you don't hear back from them. And I typically say about a week. If you don't hear anything within a week, it's 100% acceptable. And I would encourage you to follow up, because not only does it reiterate your interest in the position, but it allows you to understand where you stand in the process. I think a lot of times recruiters get so bogged down with their busy workloads. And, one thing that I speak about very often in my posts is candidate ghosting. It's something that I am so passionately against. But the truth is that there are candidates that do get ghosted, and it's very unfortunate. But follow up with those recruiters, follow up with those hiring managers, reiterate again that interest. There's nothing wrong with doing that. I think that's absolutely acceptable when you're looking for a job.
And part of preparation can be also just keeping a note bank of some follow-up emails. You don't have to do that at that moment, just scribble or just get into a time crunch to do that. When we have time in your 30 minutes disciplined day, write them down. There are like 5 to 7 or maybe 10 things you can put in that personalization element here and just do that. That's absolutely the right thing to do. So Melissa, we have some hands here. You want to take some questions now? Or
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to go real quick. And Allison, 3, 2, 1, you're going to get the microphone over to you. You can unmute and...
Hi, thank you both for being here today. I had a real quick question about what else I can do. I have 8 years experience in event marketing. I've done job tracker using the ATS system to make sure that the resume is aligned with the job description. I've reached out to about 20 different headhunters and constantly following up if they have any roles. If I see a position online, I speak with the employees. I try to connect with the recruiters, and I'm still feeling a little stuck. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, Allison, thank you so much for the question. And I think you're speaking probably for a lot of people on this call that feel the same way. It's how I felt when I was looking for a job as well. It sounds like as of now, you're doing all the right things. The best advice I can give is to continue networking with as many people possible. I recently read a statistic, and I think it was actually on a LinkedIn article, and it was a recent article, that only 7% of job seekers actually find their position from a job posting because the competition is so incredibly fierce. So when I read that percentage, it did not surprise me. A lot of the people that I actually hire are referrals, or they're people that reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. So I would say, networking is without question the number one way and the best way that people find jobs. So I would say just network with as many people as possible. And when I talk about networking, I mean really taking a deep dive into not only it's who you know, but people know people, right? And generally speaking, I think people really want to help out each other. So even if it's taking a look at, okay, here's a list of my friends, and here's a list of their friends that I know of, and what companies do they work at, and it's really reaching out to as many people as possible. I have also attended like job fairs, which I don't know, statistically speaking, how many people actually find jobs through job fairs, but when I was looking for a job, I did attend a couple local job fairs, and I also joined a couple HR associations. So, myself being in the HR field, I joined, I think there were 3 local, I'm in Chicago, Illinois here in the United States, and there were a couple of different HR associations. So I joined those associations. All of those associations actually had a job board on their website. So I submitted my resume there. And I attended networking events as well, because the more people that you can, rub shoulders with, or the more people that that is truly, statistically speaking, the most effective way to find a job. I also want to tell you, and everyone else on this call, that, as I'm sure you have, realized yourself, is that this is a very, very challenging job market right now. Companies do hire in December. It typically is a slower time due to the holidays, but I definitely believe that things will pick up very, very quickly. Even from a recruiting standpoint, I'm starting to see a ton of new job postings for recruiters, even within the last 2 weeks, where maybe a month ago it would have been a very different story. So just keep at it. Don't give up. Keep networking. And remember, you only need one yes. Something will definitely stick.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you.
Also, just to add here, folks, while we is talking about this, we just need one yes. The job market is slow. We know that organizations are hiring less, but they are hiring. And when we say markets are going to be up in Q1 or post holidays, that means it's going to be just up. So this time is so critical. Prepare. It's just like, you just see Olympics, right? Every 4 years it happens. The athlete is going to just practice and prepare for like 4 years because the 100-meter race sprint is going to just last for 10 seconds. So when that opportunity comes in the first week of January or the second week of January, I hope you all don't have to wait till that long. But if that comes, that's the showtime. Tell me something about yourself. Da 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 da. And you record yourself. Everybody is doing TikTok and YouTube and everything. Record yourself in the interview, and do not hesitate to network. We are so many people on this discussion here, 242 people, and then what is stopping us to network among ourselves here is the question what we need to ask. So yeah, going to the next question here. Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so let's go here. All right, Kenneth, and we have a lot of hands here. And guys, keep showing us some reaction here so that we know you are there. And thank you. Thank you so much. Yep, over to you, Kenneth.
Thank you very much. So my question is, most times when I apply to jobs on LinkedIn, some recruiters ask us to also send our resume and portfolio to their emails. And most times when I send my portfolio and resume to their emails, I also add like some text to it. I normally don't get replies. So I wonder why some companies do that, and I will eventually not get any reply.
I wish it wasn't the case that this happens, and I don't know why recruiters do that. The only reason I could think of is simply they don't have the bandwidth to do it. And I'm not saying by any means that that's an excuse or it makes it right, because it's not right. I would consider that candidate ghosting, which is something that I'm very much against. But I think a lot of companies right now have a very skeleton crew as it relates to staffing and talent acquisition, where they just have recruiters that are on their staff that are stretched so thin. This year in particular, a lot of companies across virtually every industry across the globe has significantly cut their recruiting staff down. So what happens is that the recruiters that are left have these immense, large, just overwhelming workloads. So the only thing I'm thinking is they just don't have the bandwidth. But if you follow up and you do what you're being asked to do, then you did what you were being asked to do. And I think following up is the right thing. But I would also say don't take it personally by any means. None of this you should ever take personally. These people that you're applying to the jobs, they don't know you. They're looking at you from a piece of paper, and there could be a multitude of reasons why, maybe the company decides to hire internally, or maybe they went with an employer referral, or maybe they went with someone whose salary requirements were less. There's a variety of reasons. And the vast majority of them, honestly, probably have nothing to do with the job seeker. There's just internal things happening within the company. A lot of times companies too, they put a role out there and then the company's like, oh, well, we're going to put the role on hold because we no longer have the budget to fill it. But then you have all these candidates that just apply to that role. I wish I had a concrete answer because I can't speak for, recruiters. But again, the only thing I could think of is they just don't have the bandwidth to follow up. And I truly, truly hope that companies come the new year, staff their recruiting function efficiently, where all candidates are at least given a chance to hear back from the recruiter, because it's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth. All right, Andy, over to you. Okay, so Andy
there
is, yeah, okay.
Hey, yes, good afternoon. First off, thank you so much for your time, for everyone in attendance. Hope you're all having a good day. I just want to full disclaimer, I'm here picking up my kids, so if you hear children in the background, that's where I'm at. So a salute to all the fellow parents in the room, and happy Thanksgiving. So my question is, as a recent business owner, because I'll be frank, I got kind of sick and tired of the turn downs and no responses from sending out countless resumes and everything else. I find that more and more of the jobs I'm still applying to have an artificial intelligence waiver that I feel that I have to hurdle before I can actually get to a person. So Melissa, what is your forecast on artificial intelligence influence when it comes to hiring in this new age, in this new years to come?
I
Thank
think
you.
that is just a spot on question. Thank you for asking it. So the evolution of talent acquisition has definitely geared toward the use of artificial intelligence. I know that a lot of companies are using these sophisticated applicant tracking systems. A lot of them are using these chatbots where there's literally a computer that is talking back to you. I could tell you that I'm not a fan of it because I think it takes a lot of the personal kind of touch away from talent acquisition, but I think a lot of companies are doing it because it saves on time and it might be cost effective. It's interesting, 10 years ago, talent acquisition was all about, do we post our job on monster.com or careerbuilder.com? And that was the big decision that the TA leaders had to make. Now it's, what kind of artificial intelligence should we use? What kind of applicant tracking system should we use? It's so much more sophisticated now. And I think AI has its benefits, but I think AI also has its drawbacks. To me, the biggest drawback, again, is taking away the personal touch, which I think candidates deserve and candidates desire. So again, I'm not a huge fan of it, but I understand the reason why companies use it. And I think that as we embark on this kind of artificial intelligence journey, more and more companies are going to start embracing AI even more as time progresses.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I look forward to connecting with you in LinkedIn. Hopefully I can send some referrals your way. So again, happy.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Andy. Okay, so, all right, Priyanka and Leonida. So over to you one by one. Okay, so, all right, go ahead, Leonida.
Hi, thank you. This has been a great conversation, and I have a question about senior level roles as it relates to previous compensation. So often, as you may know, a recruiter will ask, or an HR exec will ask, what is the range you're looking for? And if the range is kind of clearly less than what your target is, what do you think is the best way to handle? Been times when they've said, oh, yeah, what you're looking for.
Hi, you're cutting out a little bit there.
But there are other pieces that are also important. And then they just.
Hey, Anita,
on the side.
Your voice is cutting in and out, so you want to
Oh, it
repeat the
is?
last 10 seconds, please?
Can you now?
Yeah.
So my question was, if the compensation target that you have is higher than roles that you're looking at, and the person you're having the conversation with may want to cut you out because their thought is that the compensation will not will not meet your needs, then how does one stay on that person's radar? Let's say if a more senior level role becomes available.
Yeah, this actually happens to me quite often. And so in the United States, and this is for people that live outside of the United States, there are certain states that have enacted it's called a salary transparency law, where certain states like Massachusetts, for example, and California, and I even think New York, have to indicate the salary range on the job description. So I love that companies are starting to do this. And I wish that this was enacted throughout the entire country, because I think when there's transparency, I think that it sets off the relationship on the right foot. And I think that job seekers have a right to know what the compensation structure is for that role, because if someone is looking at a role and it pays, for example, $30,000 less than the expectation, then maybe that would allow this person not to waste their time applying if there's not going to be a synergy between the pay of the job and what the person's looking for. Very often it happens to me where I am recruiting for a position and someone applies, but their salary range is higher than the pay of the job. So what I typically do in those cases, and I don't know how all recruiters do this, and it might be done differently across recruiters, but if I think someone has a great background, one of two things I will do. I will either call that person, let them know what the salary range is to see if that's acceptable, or I will call that person and say, if it's not acceptable, I'll say, we're not going to have an alignment between what you're looking for and what the position pays. However, let's definitely stay in touch, because I can tell you, for the client that I'm working on now, there are positions that we get people that apply to that their salary expectations are way above the pay of the job. But I happen to know that in the future, whether it's a month, 2 months, 6 months, we're going to actually be trying to fill a role where that person would be a fit. So I always try to start a relationship and maintain that relationship, because I know when that role gets posted, this person could be a perfect candidate for it. And I also think that job seekers have to decide for themselves how much they're willing to take. So if they see a position that's posted, and let's say it's $10,000 less than what they're looking for, there are some job seekers that might say, you know what, this is a great opportunity to get my foot in the door at this great company, and I'm okay to take a little bit of a step back to get my foot in the door. There are other job seekers that would say, I have worked too hard to get to where I am, where I don't want to take a cut in pay. And I think every job seeker is going to have to make that decision for themselves. But if you see a position that is posted and your compensation, what you're looking for, is higher, if it was me, personally, I would still apply, and then I would follow up with a note to the hiring manager or the recruiter. And you can typically find out who that is by doing some digging on LinkedIn. And then you can send them a note and say, I'm interested in this position. I realize that there's not going to be any sort of synergy between what you're looking to pay and what my expectations are, but I really am interested in your company, and I'm hoping that you can keep my resume in your file or in your applicant tracking system. So in the event that you have a future position that is a fit, that you and I can engage again in that conversation. And I would also make note of that company, maybe on that spreadsheet if you're keeping a spreadsheet, and maybe periodically follow up with the recruiter and say, hey, I know we spoke 2 months ago, or we exchanged a couple emails. Just want to let you know I'm still interested in a position at your company. Keep yourself warm, so to speak, in the recruiter's mind. There are people that I have truly hired doing that I've started a relationship with, that down the road there was a great position that was more in line with their comp expectations that I ended up hiring. So just build that relationship with that recruiter, and trust me, you're doing them a favor as well, because there's a great candidate for a position that they might not even want to try to find a whole lot of other candidates, because they have this great person right in front of them.
No, I think that's a great strategy, and the hurdle I've been running into is where they want to kind of pull me out of it because the compensation chasm is significant. So versus me pulling myself out of it. So I think this is a great advice. So thank you.
Sure, thank you.
All the best, Leoneta, for your future. And Priyanka, please go ahead. Once you unmute.
Prashant, should we take another question?
Yeah. Okay, I was on mute, and now I have unmuted myself. Priyanka, over to you.
Thank you, Prashant. Hi, Melissa. This is a great discussion. I would like to talk about myself. Like, I was a recruiter and then compensation analyst, and slowly I'm now grew my interest in data science, and I'm doing my master's here, master's in data science. Now, when I have updated my LinkedIn looking out for a job, most of the people looking at my experience only reach out to me for HR positions. I've done everything like try to add my college projects and try to highlight my data science experience in my work, but still no luck. All of them are just reaching out to me, HR per se, and not a data science applicant. Can you give me any strategy or suggestion which can help me boost my resume visibility and all?
Sure. I think in that case, what you might want to do is at the top of your resume, add an objective at the very top. So typically, the resume that I would imagine to me that makes the most sense is, and I think probably most of you, if not all of you, have this at the very top of your resume. You're going to have your contact information. Right under your contact information, I would put an objective. Simply write the word objective with a colon, and then put your desire to get a position in data science. And this way, when a recruiter sees your resume, they're going to know right off the bat that you're not looking for a job back in HR. So if you make it clear on your resume, then I think that will definitely help.
And do you think at the same time, should I reduce should I reduce my roles and responsibilities which I used to handle as an HR? Will that help too?
I don't necessarily think that will help. I think if you simply, indicate your objective is to get a job in data science, I think that will, without question, alleviate a lot of future calls from recruiters that are looking to fill an HR position.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And also would like to add, Priyanka, when you're getting those HR calls which you are not pursuing, you can always refer somebody who is in the lookout of, that kind of role. So, that's something just to give it back to the community.
Great point.
That usually. Thank you.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. And Robbie, over to you.
Hello?
Hey,
Can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for this. It's very helpful and insightful. Just to give you a brief background on myself, I recently moved to the US about 6 months ago. And so far I've changed twice my resume. And each time I change it and I apply for a job, I get something like it's not an ATS formatted. So few questions. Do you have any recommendation about a good resume writer that can help me out? And two, Melissa mentioned something about an offline networking. Where do you do that usually if you don't have any network yet in where you live? Any good recruiter recommendation that would be also helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So there are a lot of really good online free resources in terms of writing a resume. And I think with a resume, you can show your resume to 20 recruiters and you're going to get 20 different sort of pieces of feedback. So I would say that your best bet, this is what I would do if I was putting together a resume. I know there's a couple of really good companies like Teal, T-E-A-L. I actually work with Teal. They are a phenomenal company in terms of resume writing. And they use a lot of, I think they're even able to pull like information from your LinkedIn profile into Teal. I think, on LinkedIn, you're going to see a lot of different people that are career coaches or resume writers. And from my experience, there's some really good ones out there. And there's some ones out there that are perhaps not as good, that don't have a lot of experience. And from what I see, it could be pretty costly to use like a professional resume writer. And I personally don't think it's worth the money because there are a ton of really, really great resources. They have, even if you Google like, a resume template, you're going to find some really, really good ones out there. So I do hope that helps. And then in terms of like events that are offline, what I mean by that is going to different networking events in person. So whether they're job fairs, whether there are industry specific networking events, those are the things that I typically mean when I say offline networking.
Yeah. And also, Rabi, just to add to that is that, when we are we are in pursuit of a career milestone, right? Or looking for a job, then we just have to keep that in mind that there is somebody who is going to get this job. What would that person would be doing at this point in time? If that's another just a mindset, what we can look into, that what would this job opportunity which is out there will get closed, and just getting into the recruiter's mind at times as well. So like recruiter already has got say like 1,000 resumes on different job boards, and just getting into their mind, and that's also another way. So imagine yourself a recruiter for say like 10 minutes. Okay, you have opened your laptop, turned on your laptop, checked your Gmail or your Outlook, and then you have say like 500 emails. How are you going to do it? Maybe you will just do another search and then figure out some way. So just that helps at times. So just sharing from experience. Thank you. Okay, Ben.
Hi, everybody. Definitely thank you for hosting this call. A little bit about myself. I've been job searching since the spring. I have a master's degree in health informatics, and I specialize in health IT, looking for business analyst, implementation specialist, or project manager roles. My question for this call is currently within the reference checking phase of a job application process. And I'm kind of curious what the best way is to follow up with the company, as well as what kind of timeline is needed for this follow-up. The interview was held last Wednesday. References were submitted Monday of this week. And I'm kind of curious as far as what kind of engagement, what kind of timeline is recommended for following up with the company.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, for the question. I think it's perfectly acceptable to follow up even today.
Okay, I mean, yeah, because I'm just getting a lot of different advice, like today, Monday after Thanksgiving. I'm kind of, trying to figure it out.
I definitely would not wait until after Thanksgiving. If you're in the reference checking phase of the job search, that's always a good sign, right? So I usually say 4 to 5 business a good time frame. If you want to wait till Monday, because I don't know what time zone you're in, but if you want to wait till Monday because it's the end of day, then that's perfectly fine too. I would do it no later than Monday, because you want to make sure also that you're in the forefront of their mind. And by you following up, it shows your continued interest in the position as well. I would not wait until after Thanksgiving.
That makes sense. Yeah. So, I mean, because obviously they have the option of just ignoring until after the holiday. But you're right as far as staying, forefront of mind, and also getting so far in the process as, asking for references. It's pretty far down the process. And, my concern was just, if all the references were completed and handed in, Monday this week, like what is a good amount of time to respond? So definitely I think, today would be a little too early, being, 5 days from reference completion. But I would definitely feel a lot more comfortable submitting, like a follow-up email, Monday and Tuesday of next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I'm rooting for you. My fingers are crossed for you. Being in the reference checking phase is definitely a good sign, and that's exciting for sure. But yeah, you don't want to let too much time pass. Stay in the forefront of that recruiter's mind. And trust me when I say too that a lot of recruiters, and I know I do too, I like it too. I like it when candidates follow up with me, because it shows me their continued interest. And I want to hire people that are really interested in working at the company. So follow-up is always a really good thing. There's no negative to following up. Now, I think if you followed up 2 days after you provided the references, yes, I think that would be too soon.
Sure.
But definitely by Monday, I think is absolutely acceptable.
Perfect. Yeah, so I'll definitely, because I already have like the email template, figured out for the message, but more timeline. But yeah, I mean, Monday would make more sense. They'd have a whole week, and worst case they can reach out back after Thanksgiving, but to show my engagement.
Yes.
And to demonstrate that I'm still very interested in the role.
Yes.
Obviously, Monday would be ideal.
Yeah. And good luck. I wish you luck.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All the best, Ben. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just a time check, folks. We are just 3 minutes away, end of the event, and so over to you, Hazel, and then Tanmay, and then Felix. We can just put the question.
Hi, thank you so much for taking my question, Melissa, Prashant. I really appreciate this level of information you're putting out there. I have a quick question. It's more general. Melissa, can you just speak about the creation of possible opportunities? I have target companies that I would like to work for, and I'm sure people on this call as well do as well. There might not be positions that are available at the moment, but you know that that's the company you want to work for. What's the best way to approach recruiters and stay warm with them in that regard?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And to your point, I think there's probably a lot of people on this call that have the same question. I think that it's perfectly acceptable, and this happens to me often, where I get emails from or LinkedIn messages from people that are saying to me that they're interested in working at my company. They looked on our website, they saw that we don't have a current opening that was a match, but they're very much interested in working for us. I actually, as a recruiter, I have a folder that I keep of all of those people. So I think that's a great approach. It's a very proactive approach, and there's nothing wrong with, I think it's a great thing to be proactive in a job search, and then keep track of who you send an email to and the date. And then I think if you followed up, not only would I continue to look on the website to see if there is a potential opportunity, because companies are, a lot of them are adding new jobs every day. The larger the company, the more jobs they're going to add. But even if you follow up with that recruiter at least once a month, I would do it no later than once a month. I think once a month is a good time frame, because at that point the recruiter might say, oh, we don't have this job that is a fit now, but I know as the recruiter that in 2 weeks or a month or 6 weeks, we're actually going to try to fill this position. So you following up every month will keep you in the forefront of that recruiter's mind, that hopefully if the job does appear that's, a fit shortly thereafter, they're automatically going to think of you. But definitely keep a spreadsheet of these companies, the date you reach out and the person you reach out to. There are people that I have hired throughout my career who have done exactly that have been proactive, have reached out to me, that I've hired. So I think it's a great proactive approach to job seeking, for sure.
Fantastic advice, as always. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you, Hazel. And Tanmay, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Prashant. Thanks, Malaysia. This is a great forum to talk. So, whatever we have just discussed, I have taken a lot of notes of it. Thank you all. I have a basic specific question. Look, so far, I have been very much active in LinkedIn. Most of the advices given, I have mostly incorporated. I have a follower base of almost 22,000. I am very active in LinkedIn. I just want to know that I'm targeting for some specific demographics for some job roles. So far, I have worked with great companies. Even I'm working with one great company now. But I want to work for certain countries, certain demographics, and I wanted to understand from Melissa that do we have any specific difference in hiring pattern? Because what I've worked for India haven't worked for the States or Europe so far for me. While I'm reaching out to the partners or possible recruiters, is there a specific pattern which is different up there?
Where are you located right now?
I'm from India.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know, Prashant, maybe you can shed some light on this. I don't know what the current practices are in India. I only recruit for companies in the United States, specifically in California.
Right.
Prashant, do you have any insight into that by chance?
Sure. Basically, one of the primary things what they want to ask is your work visa piece, and then some companies may be hesitant to spend on that particular thing. But if you can network with someone who can help you get insights on that part, then and the second thing is that the work visa can take a little longer to close the position, and without that, it won't work. So in my opinion, what I have seen people is that, pursuing that work visa piece, getting your application in, and then then doing that pursuit to the States or to the European market. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, Prashant, thank you for mentioning visas. I know a lot of companies, what they do is on their applicant tracking system, when someone applies to a job, a lot of these ATSs or companies will ask, are you eligible to work in the United States without, having a visa? And so depending on the role, depending on the level, I've worked at companies that have provided sponsorship. I've worked at companies that have not. So a lot of times, though, you will be asked that question at the application process. If anyone on this call would require a visa or would require sponsorship, definitely answer the question correctly. There are companies out there that absolutely do sponsor positions.
Yeah. Also, there's a slowdown in issuing visas here in India. I mean, Tanma, you might be already knowing the interview slots are just so far away. But if you already have a B1, B2, which is okay, but employers need some kind of stability. And we can't work with B1, B2. So that's what I would like to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Point is very well noted. Thanks, Prashant. Thanks, Felicia.
Absolutely. So guys, I know you all have raised your hands. If I may request you to put your questions in the comments of this post, that will allow us to take your questions. You can put it brief or long, take your time on that one, and we can answer questions out there as well. But so Melissa, we are top of the hour. Okay, so Felix is out there. We'll take his question. Hey, Felix, over to you.
Hi everyone. Thanks so much for the opportunity. This is my first time joining this, and I think this is very commendable. And I want to thank you so much for hosting such an important program at this time of the year. And just to also say to everyone here that if you see my request to connect with you, please feel free to accept my request. So before I go to my question, I'm a recruiter, and I recruited for so many companies back in Ghana and do some multinational recruitment abroad. I just want to share with you, everyone, that do not keep chasing recruiters because some recruiters are equally looking for a job. And if you keep chasing them for long, they might even have left, because I have left some companies that they haven't worked on their my email, and I keep receiving emails and calls from other sources regarding job that I've posted years back. So just to know that, do not waste so much time on one job. If you believe in your skills, reach out to everyone who might be who might help you. But my question is, some HR practitioners are not very ethical, and by that I say this based on my experience. So there was this gentleman that I was recruiting for one of the top tech companies in Ghana. And during our background checks on him, references, he used one of his managers as his reference point. And this manager, said everything he said about this young man who has a lot of potential was negative, even though they have a very good relationship. And my checks have revealed that he's one of the top performers in the company, but they were not willing to pay more. And so his feedback, the reference feedback, was in a way to keep the gentleman in the company and not to let him go. So it wasn't that it's actually the wrong person to hire, but just that he doesn't want him to go. And unfortunately, this young man doesn't even know that his own boss doesn't really want him to go, and he's not even willing to increase his salary. So my question is, as a recruiter, what do we do to such unethical managers and HR practitioners who are really making it tough for job seekers to get job? Thank you.
So if I understand your question correctly, there was a reference check that you did where the reference check didn't come out favorable, and it was because that particular manager did not want to lose his employee, correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Wow, that's a really unfortunate situation. I take reference checks with a grain of salt because typically speaking, people are not going to list a reference if they think that reference will not be positive. It's very, very rare where I have a reference call that is not positive. And it's sad and it's a shame that this manager does not want to do what's best for the employee. That's a tough one to answer in terms of if you or how you should move forward. But if the reason is because this manager doesn't want to lose the person and that's why he gave a negative reference, then obviously that shows that it's a really good employee because the manager doesn't want to lose him. But this is an interesting situation because this does not happen very often.
All right. So I mean, so the question then is that what happened? What do we do as recruiters, as HR practitioners, who are very ethical about work? What do we do to such managers? I mean, they might be. Earlier you mentioned about belonging to some, I mean, professional organizations, also associations. Are we allowed to report such people, their conduct to maybe top managers, something like that? What is your recommendation?
Prashant, what do you think about this?
I tell you what, the world is not a fair place, Felix. I wish it would have been. And there are all kinds of people around, and everybody has a positive intention in doing whatever they're willing to do. Sometimes it's known to us, sometimes it's not known to us. I would just say that keeping a positive outlook and exploring avenues where you get to a place where you surround yourself with folks who are positive should be the direction to go, Felix. Yeah, because the thing is, time is the currency. We have limited weeks in our life. We have limited weekends in life. We have family, we have kids, we have everything, a lot of things to do. And just because a couple of negative people or a couple of people who are not meeting the standards of professionalism, we can't focus our 80, 90, or 100% energy out there. You got to keep a way to find more positiveness somewhere else, is what I would say. I know it's not a direct answer, but there's no direct answer. I wish.
I agree with you. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want finally to urge everyone that be sure of who you want to use on your resume as your reference. Thank you very much.
Sure thing. Absolutely. So, Melissa, we are 10 minutes above the hour. So?
Yeah, I just want to say, parting, well, first, I truly appreciate, Prashant, first of all, partnering with you. This has been a lot of fun. And to everyone on this call, very, very grateful for you to take the time to engage with us. And, like I said in the beginning of the call, I've been in your shoes before more than once. I was at a company for 18 years, and when I was let go, I felt like the world was coming down on my shoulders and the world was crumbling around me. But looking back now, it was probably the best thing that happened to me because it forced me to actually do something different, and I've never been happier. So I think a lot of times these things are a blessing in disguise, where one door opens, another door opens. Where one door closes, another door opens. And I also think that if you are rejected from a job, it simply means that you're being directed into something bigger and better. Mental health, your physical health, lean on your family and friends for support, and you will get that job. Just don't give up. And remember, you've only come so far to go this far. So don't give up. And I'm rooting for each and every one of you on this call.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Melissa. And thank you everyone out there who joined us here. Folks, I have one strong point to mention. Next week is going to be slow week. Do not forget that you have to prepare well. Make sure that you're networking, and then prepare for your job interviews. Preparation. Read your job description, dress well, and follow up with the recruiter. Do not hesitate. And wishing all the very best. Show us some love here, show us some reactions here, and let us know in feedback how was the session, what else you would like to get answered. This is with the purpose to unlock folks with constrained environments. So we are here, whatever we can do the same, pass the positive vibe to people around you, and all the very best and happy advanced Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Melissa. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.